What's your most successful unethical life hack? Had new phone in back pocket. Sat down without thinking. Cracked screen. Next day, received call from provider asking if I was sure I didn't want protection plan. I had declined. I told him he was a good salesman and accepted. Returned phone for new one 2 weeks later. Cancelled protection plan. I did this with my last phone. I bought it. One of my cats dive bombed onto it from the top of a bookcase and cracked the screen. So I bought the insurance plan. Waited 4 days. Put in the claim. And I had a brand new phone replacing my refurbished one with 3 days. I once got a parking ticket and instead of paying it I dipped it in water, crumpled it up, and had my GF bring it to the police station a week later saying she found it on the street. I went online to see if the citation was still there and it was gone. That joke Dave Chappelle had about riding in the car with a white guy and the guy saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that." I've done that in tons of places. I've wandered into restricted areas and zoos and in theme parks. Got caught and was like, oopsie, we were looking for the bathroom and we got lost. Most of the time they'll escort you back to the main park area, but sometimes you'll meet someone cool and you get a behind the scenes tour, so long as you know how to chat someone up. Make some small talk. Don't come off as a creep or like you deserve to be back there. Most of the time the low level employee will take you the long way back to the park and you get to see some cool stuff. Heck, one time in a zoo I got to feed some giraffes because me and a buddy got caught wandering and this lady was frantic. I asked her what was wrong and she said she's behind schedule getting food to the animals. So we offered to help since we both had restaurant experience dicing vegetables. 20 minutes later we have like 10 bowls of food ready and she let us feed some giraffes carrots and stuff. If you do this at a zoo, do not try to get into the enclosures. Weigh the risk versus the reward. Gonna go to jail? Prob's not worth it. Gonna get put on a list that goes out to all the airports? Death's not worth it. Gonna get to feed some cool animals? We'll see. Be right back. Gotta go trespass at the nearest zoo. I have an obnoxious coworker that never stops talking, so I started sticking my hands in the hand dryers every time he spoke to me. Situated in our workplace for hygiene reasons, so I couldn't hear him and now he just doesn't bother trying anymore. This works best if you stare him in the eye while you do it. I got a parking ticket my first or second semester at a junior college. Can't remember anymore. The ticket came in a little unmarked and unsealed envelope. Instead of getting a permit, I put that envelope back under my windshield wiper every morning so they thought they had already given me a ticket. I did that for 2 or 3 semesters before eventually transferring. So, paid $1.30 ticket for over a year of school parking. In the UK, most enforcement companies can ticket 3 times on the same car in the same place. But if the car moves, they can keep ticketing. They use photographic proof so you can't really get away with that here. We did see one car that had a whole bunch on the dash, and the ticket dude was writing up another one. Use the self-pay kiosk at the movies. Instead of the regular adult I choose the senior. I would do the child but usually watching something R-rated. The 15-year-old ripping your ticket at the cinema rarely would check. If they do you just play dumb and push the wrong button. Saves a few bucks. I worked in a movie theater for a while, and honestly no one really cares. I once sold a mid-30s man a child's ticket to go see Sausage Party. Lied on my resume to get my first job in IT, then crammed watching videos of the technologies the job description wanted and got the job after lying in the interview. How'd that turn out? I used to scam free extra dipping sauces from MCDs. This is how. You go through the drive-thru when it is busy, order your McNuggets, pay for them at the first window. Then when you get up to the pickup window, act like you forgot to buy extra sauces and ask if you can buy them right then and there while holding out a credit card. Do not hold out cash because the attendant might just pocket it. Odds are they will just give them to you for free since what you just did was throw a big monkey wrench into the finely run machine that is the drive-thru ordering pickup process. My local MCDs suddenly got really stingy with condiments, only giving you the minimum and posting signs saying extra condiments would cost extra. They've since changed and are no longer stingy, so I don't need to use this method anymore. I once tried this same thing at a Pizza Hut drive-thru. Got a free soda. FBI's most wanted over here. This might be a bit outdated now because it's so easy to order everything online, but if a local store doesn't carry the product you want them to, just call them and ask them if they have it, and have a few friends call and do the same. Also ask if they have it every time you go in, and have a friend or two to do the same. Eventually they will think that everyone is asking about product X, so they should start keeping it in stock. When I was younger, me and some friends got a local sporting goods store to carry disc golf discs by doing this. We kind of did this with our local pizza store. We really liked their pizza, but they did not have all the toppings we wanted. We started buying the toppings we wanted and taking them down and asking them to put them on pizza for us. I guess other people noticed and soon they started carrying the toppings. Want to save yourself $0.49 and commit a federal crime? Put a letter in a mailbox with no postage. Put the destination as the return address. Inmates in jails, prisons use this method as a way to communicate with each other. Not sure if they still do this, but when I was in college, Amazon offered 6 months of Prime free if you use your student email address. At St. My college, you can change your email address to something else than what they gave you as a default. So I just changed it every 6 months and got Prime for free for 4 years. Just started university and got 6 months Amazon Prime. Definitely doing this in 6 months. Nice one. If you rock the vending machine back and forth to dislodge the trapped Snickers bar, then you improve the gene pool for the rest of us. A lot of vending machines now have alarms which go off when rocked. As an older person, I can reliably assert that acting confused and or hard of hearing can get you out of most minor troubles. If you get caught doing anything, just act stupid. Never give in and most likely you'll get a slap on the wrist and don't do it again. I didn't do this, but someone I went to high school worked at a Walmart pushing carts. He would find receipts left behind. If he found a receipt for something he liked, he would keep it. Later he would take whatever the receipt was for, and if he got stopped, sets off the alarm, he would just pull out his receipt and say he bought it during his lunch break. He bragged how the manager said they were being hit by a pro. Eventually he was caught when he tried to steal a Wii. Stuff a wadded up piece of paper into the inside of the change return hole of all the vending machines you see. Come back in a few days to reap your rewards. Used to be a big thing back in the day. The reason why payphones changed the change return door so that it blocks the chute while open. Sometimes when a building is locked after hours and I'm there during the day, I will crumple up a napkin and stick it in the lock so I can come back later. Scotch or clear tape works well too, and might be less noticeable. Just tape over the hole in the plate, or tape the latch bolt in. This one's a long game, but start building a reputation as a bad liar. Tell mundane lies with overt tells. Over time people will trust your truthfulness on everything else you say. The possibilities are endless. Saw a quote somewhere, went like, the first step to becoming a good liar is to convince people you're a bad liar. Probably came from Elim Garrick, although I'm sure he'd be more eloquent with it. Need to replace an old video game controller? Go to GameStop and buy an identical one. After waiting overnight, go back to GameStop with your old broken controller in the bag and return it for a full refund exchange. Source: totally did it last week. My dad gets air mattresses from Big 5 for free. He's been doing it for years. Whenever his old one breaks, he buys a new one, puts the old one in the new box, takes it back and says it's defective and gets his money back, and keeps the new one. I guess you could do this with a lot of things, but he limits his gig to air mattresses. If you want to buy something online, first create a dozen fake email accounts, and then badger the seller with absurdly low offers. Like really be mean and a dong about it. Next sign into your real email and offer a low but reasonable offer. He'll be so relieved to hear from someone that's not in butthole that you can get a nice discount when he accepts your low offer. Look, it's just a fkin kettle. Hitler charged less for a bath in his special showers, and then you can follow it with almost any offer at that point. Defer your federal student loans as long as you possibly can, and when the time comes to pony up or go to jail, get a job with the federal government. You'll pay much less and your loans will be forgiven in 10 years. If you don't want to pay anything back, defer for as long as you can, and then die. And then die. Complain, complain, complain. Email giant companies with some mundane dissatisfaction with their product and many will just throw replacements or high value coupons at you. Some companies are way more responsive than others. I once bought an expensive graphics card off Amazon. It never came and I got it refunded. Will also say that I even signed for it, and the card cost me $900 for anyone wanting to know. Won't work most of the time, since expensive crap usually requires a signature on delivery specifically, so you can't do that. Back when I was doing research for a novel about con artists, I enacted a number of borderline legal schemes, just to see how they'd play out. While my favorite of those technically counted as fraud, the one that was most effective only barely crossed the line. All I needed was a dress shirt, some black slacks, a bow tie, and a basket, all of which I bought from the local thrift store for about $15 in total. Thus prepared, I made my way to a semi-fancy restaurant and went directly to the men's restroom. A few minutes passed before I was able to put the rest of my plan into effect. And since this was before smartphones were quite so common, I spent the time figuring out exactly where I should stand. Still, I didn't have to wait long, and after the first of my marks entered the lavatory, I went through a practiced motion of turning on the faucet, pumping the soap, and offering him a towel when he was finished washing his hands. As the man was thanking me, which he did with little more than a mumble, I made a point of very subtly glancing at the basket that I'd brought along, positioned near the edge of the counter. I didn't get any money from that first guy, unfortunately, nor the fellow after him. In fact, it wasn't until after I tossed a few of my own dollars down that people started tipping me, but the cash came much more freely from then on. It took me about half an hour to earn back my initial investment, and about 45 minutes more to double that. By the time that 2 hours had elapsed, I'd managed to make just under $50, which was a better pay rate than I'd received from a legitimate job at that point. Anyway, if you ever feel like pulling a similar caper, here's what I learned. 1. Choose a venue that's nice but not too nice, or you'll run the risk of encountering a real bathroom attendant. 2. The restroom near the bar sees the most traffic, and usually isn't frequented by employees. 3. Make conversation with the people who initiate it, and avoid it with people who don't. 4. Clean out your basket. Save for maybe a couple of ones and a single fiver after each mark has left. Oh, and most importantly, make sure to get out before you get caught. TLDR. I pretended to have a job as a restroom attendant. I think you just worked as a bathroom attendant. We used to do this in high school, college to double our beer purchases, but it works worth anything. 2 people go into a big store. This is specifically designed for Walmart, but should work any place with 2 exits, and fill up carts with the exact same things. 2 cases of your brand of beer and a bottle of wine. For example, one person checks out, leaves, then comes in another entrance to pass the receipt off to the second person waiting with the second loaded out cart. They then walk out of another exit, and if anyone asks for a receipt, you've got one and it's for the right date, time and products. This is freaking genius level theft. First year of university, I realized that if the lot is full but you need to park, the ticket you'll get for parking in a staff spot is 1/3 the price of the ticket you'll get for parking just about anywhere else that you aren't supposed to. Not sure if this still works, but I used to put clear packing tape on $1 bills, approximately on 1/3 of the bill with about a foot of tape extending past to grasp, and use it at a vending machine. Right as the machine would catch the dollar and read it, I'd pull it out, select your snack beverage, collect the change, and repeat. I eat a donut every time I go to the grocery store and I don't pay for it. You never get busted just casually eating it as you do your shopping. I did this for years. Closest I ever got to getting caught was someone asked if I paid for it, and I said yep, and they walked off. If you have a life savings and want to get on welfare, instead of living off your life's savings, buy a home with it. You just basically converted your money into an asset that the government won't consider when you apply for government benefits. Note, I've never done this, but found this out when seeing if I qualified for government assistance. If you already own a home, the second home will be seen as income, as you can rent it out, so that will negate the plan. If you currently rent though, this will work. Although if you have enough savings to buy a house, I don't know why you'd be renting. I was caught speeding once. I have a concealed pistol license, but almost never carry. When I was pulled over, I handed the cop my driver's license and the corporal. He asked if I had a weapon and I said, "It's in the glove compartment. Do you want me to get my documents? I don't want to open it without your permission." He said, "Nope. The fewer guns I see, the better." Slow down and left. There was no pistol in the glove compartment. Not exactly a hack, but make presentations, PowerPoint and such, using P actresses actors instead of stock photo people. If the teacher professor doesn't watch P, they won't suspect. If they do recognize the individuals, they probably won't call you out on it. I take no responsibility for possible or eventual motions taken by any educational entities as means to punishing you should this hack fail. I met a guy who wired his apartment with 2 sets of coaxial cables. Every 2 years when he loses his promotional pricing, he changes cable providers. Enjoying the new customer pricing, he makes sure the cable installer does not touch the other set of cables, which lets him switch quickly if he does not get the price he wants. Amazon Prime customer. Every time an item doesn't turn up the following day, even if you have received an email telling you it will be delayed. Every single time. Live chat Amazon customer services. I find I have to Google it as it's very difficult to get to from their website. Explain how disappointed you are and that you pay extra to be a Prime customer. Usually get 1 month free Prime membership. I've got 5 months free membership so far and counting. Most items I actually didn't care they were delayed but thought it was worth trying my luck. My boyfriend and I met while we were both working in this absolutely miserable star market. Freaking awful. Long grody hallways. Understaffed to heck. Management treated us like garbage, and they would deny us legally required raises. But we both worked there long enough to know that LP left fairly early, and the place was pretty much a giant warehouse full of free crap after 11 PM. It was open 24 hours. We like to make monthly shopping trips to grab our necessities. Everyone who worked there was a dickhead. If you think you may have to go bankrupt, keep one credit card current, pay the bill on time every month. When the bankruptcy is done, you will still have that card and be able to use it. Worked for a friend 15 years ago. I'm not sure if it still does. Steal 2 from a pile and jokingly put 1 back saying you're no thief. There you go. Free anything from a pile so long as you can pull it off. Someone's gonna beat you butt for that joke. I found this one out from my friend's dad. If you are driving in scrubs or a lab coat and get pulled over, just say that you were speeding because you are on call for a major emergency surgery. You're not supposed to drive wearing whatever you are going to use for a surgery, though. Buying something from Craigslist? Tell the seller that you live in a city 20-30 miles from where you actually do and ask them to meet you halfway in the city you actually live in. Seller lives in city A, you live in city B. Tell the seller you live in city C and ask to meet in B. Genius. I'm about to use this. My friend and I went to a concert with $15 nosebleed tickets that we bought last minute. We printed them out on computer paper. When we got to the venue, I noticed the people going into the pit had yellow wristbands. I cut our paper into long thin strips and dipped them in mustard from the hot dog stand and made wristbands. We pulled our cell phones out to act casual and walked with a group that was going in. Gave a quick flash of the wrist to the security, and that's how we got $180 front row seats for cheap. Yeah, but her wrist smells like mustard. Not me, but a friend of a friend went to a couple of music festivals, sold bunk pills, and made enough $sign to buy a new car. Good way to get shot. If you speed, drive a maximum of 10 over 5 and you won't be pulled over. But 10 and it's fairly easy to talk your way out of a ticket. We're not strippers or beautiful. That won't work ethos common folk. When you order pizza for delivery, call the place after the driver has left and say something was wrong with the pizza. Chances are they will either 1. Refund you, 2. Send a free pizza, 3. Give you a free pizza next time you order. Just don't do it too often. From the same place or with the same driver. I actually got a wrong pizza once. They forgot to put the hot dog in the crust, and they just sent me a new one saying I could keep them both. Walk around a neighborhood, you know college students live like apartments. They are 50% likely to drop cash on the ground, pick it up and take it. During college in the 5 years I've found $300 on the ground. This also works at farmers markets as most vendors only take cash. I find money on the ground almost every time I go. Being short helps. At the self-checkout, ring up your expensive organic fruit as inexpensive regular fruit. I have never gotten caught, but just play stupid like the checkout confused you and in your frustration just pick the item that looked closest to what you had. Or just buy regular fruit in the first place because it makes no difference. I used to work at a Subway. We were not allowed to get tips. I knew where the camera could not see and kept a tip cup when I worked. After serving customers I would empty the cup in my pocket and then prime it with $1. Most people would see a single dollar and feel bad, so they would tip $1 or $2. On a good night I cleared $200 on a 6-hour shift. What Subway do you work at where you get tipped $200 for 6 hours? My brother worked at a Subway and would do the same thing but only make like $5. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.